Wham! And just like that, I got them mocked up. We're going to go ahead and hit them with the welder. Probably go ahead and grab it with some pliers. Pull in that little gap. Make sure you don't shoot off like, a rocket when I apply heat. And we'll have our first console done. And that, guys, is going to take a lot of cutting. And bam, just like that, it's done. Also, I forgot to add my disconnect because I got to put a extension in this wire, and that's probably the best thing anyway to have a disconnect. I'm probably going to put it right here under the ignition switch. So that'll be squared away on all the switches, buttons, and wham bam, thank you ma'am things. Safety. And that's pretty great. It's got another piece of console to make, and we're done. Ka-chow. We're back on dealing with the wiring on the Jeep. I got me a battery. I built me a box. I've got some wires. I don't know if I've updated on this, but I got this console put in. Pretty sweet. Still need to make the one for the button. That way I can actually get it when I'm strapped in. But we're kind of beginning to tackle this beast. This is some scrap stainless from that piece. I figured it wasn't big enough or too big, who knows. And it fit the battery pretty well. Scrap piece, and more scrap. And we got her just tacked in, but it's not going anywhere. I got my battery. Never will next to a gas tank that's full of gas. Luckily, this one is full of gas. Don't do that. That'll fit my marine battery. That's the cheapest for the power. 80 something bucks after tax and a core exchange. Give them my Optima because it was holding a good old 10 volts, and Optimas are actual fucking trash most of the time. Got my other batteries charged. This one's weird. It needs to be cleaned up, but it's holding 12 and a half volts. So I got at least 3 good batteries now. That needs one. That guy needs one. The Ranger, Danger Ranger. And I still need to start pulling stuff off that guy, but I think we're going to leave it alone until we get at least one of our trucks going, because that truck will run if I give it some Cosby sauce. But other than that, good old update here. It's a lovely noon time. We'll eat lunch, and I'm going to start in on the bottom of that. What I don't want to do, because everything left to do requires work on the bottom side. I can procrastinate no longer on the top side. I have to go underneath the truck. It's just one of those things that I don't like to do, but once I get started, I get on it. I wish everything was on top side. Honestly, I wish I could pull this cab off, but technically I can, but I feel like that's counterproductive to what I need to get done. And away we go. We're going to take a good old lunch break, come back, and get to chopping on the headers. And I guess while I'm under there, if I'm not too aggravated, I'll start unhooking transmission stuff. And she may just get on really close to coming out. I also need to pull the bed. I got to remind myself to do that, because if I don't pull the bed, I won't be able to do my fuel tank. And once I get this thing out, it's going to be a real pain to get it back in here. But yeah, I'm very methodical. That's probably why nothing's been done in like a month. Also sick in weather when it's 0 and below 0. No one wants to come out and work, especially not me. But yeah, I'm going to love getting the wiring chopped down on this. Been troubleshooting. I want to make sure it cranks before I do the next step on my ignition. Or do that, I need to move the battery. You know, it snowballs. Everything snowballs here. But now we got a nice, hot, big-ass battery. We're under our disconnect. And I can start thinning some of this mess out. I want to wire the ignition. I actually want to wire the ignition into here. Probably this one. That way, if I'm troubleshooting or flooded, I can do it without blowing up my coil, which is buried. So that's pretty great, because I don't want to run these relays if I don't have to on the starter switch, because the starter switch is a little weird. It gives power to one side, moves its contactors down off of power to the other side, and then gives power to the solenoid right here, and then starts. But I remember when I was first getting this thing, I jump-started the solenoid across and it didn't want to run the fuel pump. So I'm wondering if maybe that's a trigger to the computer. Hey, I don't see voltage. Fire the fuel pump full speed. And then once it gets running, the button's let off. Okay, do your normal program. So we're going to figure her out.